Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at some pretty interesting stuff happening in the Toronto real estate market.
Oh, yeah, definitely a lot going on.
So, I think our listeners are really interested in understanding, like, what's happening? What does it all mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So we've got this recent report from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board.
The TRREB. Yeah.
TRREB, exactly. We're going to break it all down and figure out, like, what are the implications?
Sounds good.
All right, so jumping right in, one of the things that really stuck out to me in the report was this, like, massive jump in home sales, like 40.1% higher than November of last year.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
Huge, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like everybody's talking about it. Even Jennifer Pierce, the TREB president,
Yeah.
she's saying like, ooh, this looks like the market's recovering.
Yeah, she seems pretty optimistic. And I think there are reasons for that, like inflation's cooled down a bit,
Right.
borrowing costs are lower.
So like mortgages are easier to get.
Exactly. People can actually afford to buy houses again.
Okay, that makes sense. But here's the thing that I thought was interesting. New listings haven't gone up at the same rate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, only like 6.6%. So way less than the sales increase.
So there's like way more buyers than sellers, basically.
It seems like it's kind of like, trying to get a ticket to a sold-out concert.
Right.
Everybody wants to go, but there just aren't enough seats.
I get it.
So this leads me to something in the report that kind of confused me a little bit.
Okay. What's that?
So the MLS Home Price Index composite benchmark, it went down a little bit, like 1.2% year over year.
Right.
But then the average selling price actually went up 2.6%. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah, that does seem a little weird, but it's all about what kinds of homes are being sold this year.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's been a lot more detached homes selling, and those are generally pricier than condos.
So that's why the average is higher, even if the benchmark is down.
Exactly.
Okay, so like if I wanted to buy a detached home in Toronto right now, should I be like, bracing myself for a bidding war?
Well, the data seems to suggest that, yeah, detached homes are super popular right now, especially in the city.
Right.
Like, prices are going up faster than inflation, so you can bet there's going to be competition.
Okay, and what about condos? Is that any different?
Condos are a different story. There's just more of them out there, so buyers have a little bit more power to negotiate.
Right.
That's probably why the average prices haven't really gone up that much.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, so we've talked a lot about buying and selling, but what about renting?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's going on with rentals in Toronto?
Well, this TRREB report has some interesting stuff about that, too.
Okay, lay it on me.
Well, Jason Mercer, the TREB's chief market analyst, he's saying that all these low borrowing costs might actually convince some renters to buy homes.
So, like, if it's easier to get a mortgage, why not just buy?
Right, exactly.
But wouldn't that mean more places to rent would open up?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But there's this other thing happening at the same time.
What's that?
Population growth. Toronto's still attracting tons of new people, and a lot of them are going to need to rent.
So even if some renters become buyers, there's still going to be lots of demand for rentals.
Yeah, exactly.
So what does all this mean for, like, the average person in Toronto who's just trying to figure out where to live?
That's a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no easy answer.
Okay, so let's say interest rates keep going down. More and more renters decide to buy.
Okay.
What happens to the rental market then?
Well, it could mean more empty apartments, and that could give renters a bit more power.
Like maybe landlords would lower rents or offer free parking to get people to move in?
Right, something like that.
But then wouldn't that make owning rental properties less profitable?
Yeah, that's possible.
So some landlords might sell their units, and then there'd be even fewer rentals available.
Exactly. It's like a chain reaction.
This is a lot to think about. It's crazy how, like, a little change in interest rates can have such a big impact on everything.
Yeah, the real estate market's a pretty complex system.
So is the Toronto real estate market, like, healthy overall, or what?
It's tough to say for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some good signs. Sales are up. Prices seem to be stabilizing a bit, but affordability is still a huge issue.
Especially for first-time buyers.
Absolutely. And especially for those detached homes.
Right. So it's like everyone wants to own a home,
Yeah,
but not everyone can afford it. And then there's the whole rental market thing on top of that.
exactly. It's a balancing act.
So how do we, like, solve this problem?
Well, that's what policymakers and experts are trying to figure out right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not going to be easy, especially with the city's population growing all the time.
Okay, so if I'm just trying to understand what this TRREB report means for me,
Yeah.
what are, like, the key takeaways?
All right. Well, I'd say first thing, the market's in a weird spot right now. There are signs of recovery, but it's still really hard to afford a place.
Okay.
Second, the type of housing you're looking for matters a lot. Like, detached homes are hot, but condos are a bit easier to get. Third, the rental market's probably going to stay competitive because of all the new people moving to Toronto and some renters becoming buyers.
Right.
And finally, keep an eye on what the government does. Like those proposed changes to the landlord and tenant board could have a big impact.
Good points. So basically, stay informed and do your research.
Yeah, definitely. Things can change quickly in this market.
Speaking of the landlord and tenant board, the report mentions some reforms they want to make.
Oh, yeah.
What exactly is the LTB and why does it matter?
The LTB, it's like the referee for landlords and tenants. They handle all the disputes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And the CEO of TRREB, John DiMichele, he's saying that if the LTB was faster, fairer, and more efficient, it would be good for everyone.
Okay, so what kinds of reforms are they talking about?
Well, imagine if disputes were resolved, quicker decisions were made faster, and both tenants and landlords felt like they were being treated fairly.
Okay.
That could encourage more people to invest in rental properties, which would mean more places to rent, and it could make things more stable for renters, too.
So basically, fixing the LTB could make the whole housing market in Toronto more affordable and accessible.
Yeah, that's the idea.
That's awesome. It's really interesting how all these different things connect.
Yeah, that's the power of data, right?
Yeah.
It helps us understand what's happening now and maybe get a glimpse of what the future holds.
Okay.
But, of course, nothing's for sure. Something unexpected could always happen.
Yeah, true. Okay, so we've covered like a ton of ground here.
We have.
We talked about sales going up and not enough homes for sale, and then how lower interest rates might make more renters want to buy homes and what that would mean for the rental market.
Yeah, definitely a lot to unpack.
But I'm still kind of left wondering, like, what does it all mean for the future of the Toronto real estate market?
Yeah, the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah, like what are the big things we still don't know?
Well, one of the big mysteries is how interest rates, inflation, and population growth are all going to interact. Like, will those things lead to more people buying homes, or will houses just become too expensive?
Right, it's kind of like we're trying to solve this giant math problem.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the government. Like, are they actually going to change the landlord and tenant board?
And what would that even mean for landlords and renters?
Right. And then who knows what other policies they might come up with that could totally change the market.
It seems like all this stuff is going to have a huge impact on people's lives in Toronto.
Oh, absolutely. This
Yeah.
isn't just about numbers. It's about people's homes and their dreams.
Yeah, it's like really important stuff.
For sure.
So we need to like keep talking about this and try to understand what's happening.
I agree.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, is there like one big question or idea you want to leave our listeners with?
How about this? So we know more people are going to want to buy homes and more people are going to want to rent homes. So how is the Toronto real estate market going to handle that? Like, what new ideas or policies might we need to make things work?
Whoa, that's a really good question.
Oh.
I'm going to be thinking about that one for sure. And for our listeners out there, I'd say keep learning about the Toronto real estate market. Check out the TREB website. Read the news. Listen to other podcasts. The more you know, the better.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on the deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.